Hi guys, welcome to part 7. So today, as requested, we're going to be taking a look at weapon reloading. So as one might imagine, this is going to take place mostly in the gun class. So let's go over there and create a public int for our total ammo, and another public int for the amount of ammo that you have in each mag. So we can just call this ammo per mag. And I'm going to just set these to default, so I'll set it to maybe 10 and 40, whatever. Each gun will actually set to its own unique number, but for now that'll do. And in the start method, we just want to set a variable current ammo per mag equal to ammo per mag. So let's create that variable. Private int current ammo in mag, and this should be set to ammo per mag. Okay, now each time that we shoot, we use up one bit of our ammo in our magazine, of course, so ammo per mag minus minus, which is just the same as saying minus equals 1. And at the beginning, if you remember, we do this check, if can shoot. And let's go to that method, if can shoot. Where is it? Here. So if you remember, can shoot is being set to true at the beginning, and we're returning it at the end. And we're doing all our checks for why it might be false. So the first is if our gun hasn't had time to sort of load the next bullet, and the next will be if current ammo in mag is equal to 0, then can shoot equals false. Okay, but now we'll run out of ammo quite quickly. We need some way to reload the weapon. Now just remember that this gun class is going to be attached to weapons both owned by the player and by the enemies. So we don't want any input here. We want the input to come from the player controller and later on the enemy controller. So we'll just have methods that are called from there, a public reload, a public void reload, and a public void finish reload. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to make this reload a bool, and we're going to say if total ammo is not equal to 0 and double ampersand current ammo in mag is not equal to ammo per mag, then return true. Otherwise, we'll just return false. So this is saying, basically, if we've got ammo left and our current magazine isn't already full, then allow the reloading process to commence. Otherwise, just don't do it. And in the finish reload, which is going to be called when the reload animation is finished playing, we want to say that the current ammo in mag is equal to ammo per mag, and total ammo minus equals ammo per mag. Now, of course, we might have less total ammo than is required to fill an entire magazine. So what we're going to do is we'll say if total ammo is less than 0, then current ammo in mag plus equals total ammo, and total ammo equals 0. This probably isn't the most intuitive way to write this, but it does make sense if you think about it. Basically, we're subtracting the amount of ammo that we've used up from our total ammo. If we've used more than we can take, then add the amount, which would be a negative number, to the current ammo. So now basically we've taken away the extra that we added, and we just set then the total ammo to 0. Okay, and now we need to go into our player controller, and in the update method, if current gun, now we'll do the reload input, if input.get button down reload. Of course we still have to set that up. And then current gun dot reload, and remember this is going to return a bool telling us if we can actually go ahead with the reloading or not. So we're going to turn this into an if statement. If current gun dot reload, then we're going to say animator dot set trigger. A trigger in the animator is kind of like a bool, except when you set it, you always set it to true, and as soon as it's executed, it will set itself back to false. So we'll set trigger, reload, and we want to set a bool reloading equal to true, so we know that we're busy reloading. Let's create that bool, private bool reloading. And now while we're reloading, so if reloading, then what we want to do is we want to see if the reload animation has finished playing. So before I get into this, let's actually set up a reload animation. And actually, before I do that even, to test that this is all working, let's just comment out this animator code. So let's just double backslash, and if reloading, we'll just say current gun dot finish reload. Okay, and in the gun class again, let's also have a private bool here for knowing when we're reloading, private bool reloading. And we'll set that to true if we allow the reload. So here, reloading equals true. I've just remembered I've zoomed out the text again. I'm so sorry if you haven't been able to see nicely. Reloading equals true, and when we finish the reload, then reloading equals false. Alright, now in our can shoot, that's one more condition. Oh, I meant to put a 0 there, my bad. That's one more condition. If we're reloading, then now we can't shoot. So can shoot equals false. Okay, and that's also every shot that we take. Let's just do a little debug.log current ammo in mag plus, we have a bunch of spaces, plus total ammo. Okay, let's see if this is working. Hold on, we need to set up that reload button. Edit, project settings, input, create a new axis, and I'll name this reload, and I'll set it to the R button. Okay, so let's see. We should have about 10 shots, I think I set it to. Okay, so this is actually allowing us to shoot forever. What mistake did I make? Oh, okay, so I was decreasing the ammo per mag when of course I want to be decreasing the current ammo in the magazine. Sorry about that. It can be a little difficult to keep track of things when you're trying to talk at the same time. Okay, so here we run out of ammo. Now if we press R, let's see if we can shoot again. No, okay, so that is not working yet. Let's go to the reload method here, see if this will tell us anything. If the total ammo is not equal to 0 and the current ammo is not equal to ammo per mag, then allow this reloading process. That seems reasonable. In the player controller class, let's have a look here. If current gun.reload, reloading equals true. If reloading, finish reload. Could the problem be in finish reload? I'm not sure where the problem is. Let me just make sure I didn't name my button incorrectly. No, that looks good. Let's just, if something's not working, what you've got to do is you've got to add debug.logs everywhere. So finish reload, we want to see if this is being called, so finish reload. Now let's play and see if that much is working. Okay, so finish reload is being called over and over and over and over again. Interesting. So I guess the problem is in our player controller. When we finish reloading, we haven't actually set reloading to false in the player class. We did it in the gun class, but not here. So reloading equals false. Let's see if that's what's causing all our grief. Shoot and press R, finish reload, and we can shoot again. Perfect. Okay, so now with that problem out the way, let's just remove that little debug.log, and we can see that this whole system is working. So before we actually do the animations, I want to set up a little bit of heads-up display so we don't have to have all this stuff being printed to the console. So let's go into our GUI camera, and we can just duplicate the level text, and let's just drag it across to the other side, and I'll call this my ammo text. And one thing I do want to do, just so that all of this stuff isn't being rendered in my scene view and just sort of clogging things up, remember all of these elements have got the GUI tag, or the layer, assigned to them. So we can go into our layers here, and we can just turn the visibility off for GUI objects, and now they won't be rendered in our scene. And I'm going to make this character size a little bit bigger, like maybe 1.5, and I'll just call this ammo. And we want to go into our game GUI, or GUI, whichever way you prefer it said. And we'll create a public text mesh, ammo text, and we also want a public void to set ammo info, I don't know, something like that, and it needs to take in a int for the total ammo and another int for the ammo in mag. And you can format this however you want. I'll say ammo text.text is equal to ammo in mag plus slash and then the total ammo. I think that's quite a popular way of writing it. What could it be complaining about? Oh, that's meant to be an equals, sorry. And before I forget, let me just assign this ammo text into the game GUI script. And now we actually have to call that method, which is going to happen from the gun class. But once again, we need to just consider the fact that enemies are also going to be using this class, so we don't want them tampering with our user interface. So we only want guns that belong to the player to actually to call the user interface. So how we're going to make this happen is we're actually going to have a private. Actually, let's make it public just to make this a little bit easier. A public game GUI here, which we can just call GUI, and I'm going to add the tag hide in inspector. So that's just hide in inspector in square brackets, which will just, even though this is public, it will make it so that it doesn't appear in our inspector view. And we'll set this variable not from the start method like we usually do with getComponent, etc., but rather from the player controller class. So we need a reference to the game GUI here as well, private game GUI, and we can set this as we normally do with GUI equals game object dot find with tag GUI, and we get the component GUI. For some reason I keep alternating between saying GUI and GUI. I don't know. Can't decide which way I like best. Now when we equip our weapon, we want to say current gun dot GUI is equal to GUI. So we won't do this from the enemy controller classes, so this way only the guns belonging to the player will actually have a reference to the GUI. And in the gun, whenever we want to use this GUI, we say if GUI. So in other words, if it's not null, then you can use it because you belong to the player controller. So GUI.setAmmoInfo total ammo and current ammo in mag. And so we want to do that each time we shoot, but also we want to do that when we finish reloading, right there. Okay, let's see if this is working properly. We've got an error somewhere. GUI equals game object, find game object tag, GUI.getComponent, oops, game GUI. Okay, is that everything? Oh, I forgot. We also, of course, want to call that from the start method right here. And, well, let me just see if this works before I try fix something else. Okay, now if we press R, okay, so it seems to work. Let's just go all the way down to 0 to make sure that nothing funny happens there. If we press R now, yeah, you can't reload. So that works perfectly. All we really need now is a reload animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my models, find my player model, open them up, and I'm going to create a reload animation. Now, if you don't feel like creating this yourself and you're using the same character as I am, then you can download from the description. It'll be called something like extra assets for part 7, and you can just download the player model which will contain this new animation, and then open up the player model that you're currently using in your Unity project and press Shift F1, and you just need to go to wherever you've saved the model you've just downloaded. You just click on it, find the action folder, and look for the animation called reload_01 and say link append from library. And now if you just change your view to a dope sheet, like this part of my screen is here, and just make sure you run the action editor, on the action editor, go into this list and find reload01, and you just want to press this F key, and you can see this animation is very basic, just something like that. And now that I've imported it, I'm just going to save and make sure that it's in my Unity project by pressing this plus, reload01, and we want to change the mask to just the arms. So we can just turn everything off and now select the arms, hit apply, and in our player animator we're going to create, just make sure you go to the arms. We want to create another blend tree, and we can call this reload. And let's create that trigger reload. And so we'll transition from weapon hold to reload if that trigger is set, and we'll come back if the exit time is, say, 0.95, which just means 95% of the reload animation is played, then we'll start transitioning back. Now in here, let's create 2 motion fields, and we want to turn off automate thresholds. So we don't need to, just remember this threshold, what this represents in our case is the weapon ID. So make sure you change the parameter to weapon ID. And our weapon ID starts at 1. So we're going to change this threshold over here to 1. And we'll set this one to 2. So I haven't created a reload animation for the pistol in this part, so it will be without an animation, so we'll just leave this at none. But we'll set that later. And reload 01, we can just drag in here. Now, let's go back into the player controller, and where I commented out this code for set trigger reload, we can just get that back. And now we don't want finish reload to be called immediately. We want to actually wait for the animation to finish playing. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to get a reference private animator transition info, and we can call it something like arms transition info. And this is something that needs to be set every frame because it's constantly changing. So this is equal to animator dot get animator transition info. And it's asking for a layer index, which is basically, we've got our base layer, and then we've got our arms layer that we created. So like an array, it starts at 0, so this is layer 1. So we just put 1 in there. And now what we can do is go, where is it? Here. And we want to basically say if the arms transition info dot name hash. So what Mechanim does is it takes the name of an animation and converts this into a sort of number. So if that is equal to animator, so we want to convert the name of our clip to a name hash, animator dot string to hash, and now we'll just pass in the name of our transition there. We'll get to that in a moment. So if that transition is playing, then we'll finish the reload. So that transition is this one here, going from the reload back into the weapon hold. If this is playing, then we're ready to finish our reload. So the name of this, you can see right at the top here. In fact, you can see it in many different places. It's over here, and it's over here. Basically, it's the name of the layer that you're in, arms, followed by a dot, period, full stop, whatever you want to call it. Arms dot, then the name of this, and then a little dash and arrow thingy, and then the name of this animation. So we've got arms.reload to arms.weaponhold. So we just need to pass that in here as a string, remember? So quotation marks, arms.reload, space, dash, little arrow thingy, to arms.weapon, space, hold. So make sure you get that name exactly right. And if you've named your animations differently, make sure you use your name, not my name. And now let's see if this is working. Okay, so we reach 0 ammo, and I press R. The reload animation plays, and as it finishes, our number updates here. Brilliant. Okay, so the way it's set up at the moment, it seems that we're discarding extra ammo. So if we fire one shot and now reload, it discards that entire magazine with all the ammo that was in it. So, that's a little bit more realistic, but maybe you want to be more forgiving than that and let the player keep that extra ammo. But for now, I'm not actually going to worry about that. The main thing is we've got this basic reload system implemented, and just remember the animation that you put in corresponds to the ID on your weapon. So both the assault rifle and the shotgun have got a ID of 1, and the pistol is an ID of 2. So if we try to reload the pistol, it seems to just be playing the reloader 1 instead of its own reload animation because it doesn't have one. So I think that's everything for this part. This has been going for 27 minutes, so it's a bit of a longer episode. Well, it can be a New Year's special, so hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in part 8. Cheers.